Okay, thanks again for responses to what I've been presenting. The and also I want to make a promise that I will answer any comment or question that is on topic to my subject, and many that are not. That includes, on topic tangents and discussions, of course, of claims that I've made. So I will do that. And I know there's a response out there. I don't know if it was attached as a response, but I subscribed to somebody. I started to listen, heard my handle, so I'll on oneness. I'll watch that. I haven't had a chance, and I will respond to that. I got far enough to hear that I think you disagree with me. Okay. What I want to talk about today, again, is a part of relativistic skepticism, a foundational element, meaning it has to apply to the whole of the rest of the worldview, and every detail and thing that relativistic skepticism is applied to, meaning my worldview. So the issue here, we could start off with the classical philosophical issue, the question of if we're dreaming. Is life just a dream? And it's an interesting question. A lot of people believe that life actually is kind of a dream, that things are made of consciousness, and the material world is the illusion, if you will. Well, we know a couple things. One, we know that when we sleep, we dream, and call that dreaming. And if there's a waking life that's a dream, it's definitely a different kind of dream. So we know that the dreams are different kinds. It doesn't tell us much, except for it hints that we can understand dreams as embedded. So a dream at night would be a dream inside a dream if the waking world is dream. It would be different because it is going to be, a subset or some sort of a containment idea where the one dream is in the other, and that gives it, of course, a difference, and a very notable difference. And it's fundamental in the sense that you can't look at the relationship between if life was a dream and a nighttime dream as something that doesn't take into account that sleeping dreams are different. And also specifically, we know they're different because they're inconsistent. When you have a waking experience, even though you can have illusions and daydreams and all kinds of dreamlike experiences, the waking world is consistent. So when I look at something and look away and look back, it's going to be there, or if it's not there, it's going to have moved very consistently and continuously in a way that if I double check, certain things will stand up to this repeated inspection. Whereas dreams at night are not really like that. You look at an image, you look away, it could be that you're in a totally different place, let alone a different thing that you're looking at, or the thing act inconsistently. All right. Now, none of that says that we don't know we are in a dream. And we may well be in a dream. Dream could be defined a million different ways, but basically the idea that the material world is an illusion that's somehow produced. If not by the mind, then we could be in a simulation inside a computer and this sort of thing. A lot of work has been done to deny that, to explain why no, we're in the real reality. And it's all for nothing, because we're in this reality, right? And we could be dreaming, and we'll never prove that we're not generated in a virtual reality, and we don't really need to. It's definitely interesting. I mean, if somebody could demonstrate that, that would be very interesting, to say the least. But what does it mean for something to be really real? It means for it to be actual, and all of these words that keep pointing back at some criteria. And the fact is, the real world, the world exists, and the real world, so-called, exists. And if it's a dream, it's still the real world, and the real world just happens to be, dreamlike. In other words, the metaphor of a dream would apply. But so a lot of metaphors apply. The real question, and this is where we're getting to the relativistic skepticism, is how you define existence. And again, it goes to whether you try to define existence with an objective base or a subjective base. With the objective base, you have all these questions of, well, how do you really know that you're not, that you weren't that God didn't create the world 35 seconds ago? And how do you know when you can't jump to the other side of the evidence and say that you're not being fooled with evidence beyond what you have or are able maybe even to study? So it really comes down to the question of existence, and we don't want an objective basis. That's where the confusion comes from. On a subjective basis, I have defined existence, and it's relative to the subject. In other words, I exist. That's the principle that I accept. If you don't believe that you exist, then I don't really believe you. I don't believe you don't believe that, because the fact of the matter is, let's see how much time I've got. The fact of the matter is, the word existence requires that I exist, but not you. I don't know if you exist. You could be a figment of my imagination, or, and in that sense, you would not exist. So if you do exist, then how is that? Well, it's in relation to me. I exist, and you therefore exist because I have a relationship with you. If I had no relationship with you, then whether or not you exist is indeterminate. And the fact is, I believe you do exist. And I also know that we have relationships. The people around me have people around them, and we do connect. So we do have indirect physical connections with so many other people on the planet. And I'll stop there. It does go on from there. But so existence is defined in terms of the subject. I know I exist. I know I exist. Why? Because I define existence. So that seems a little tautological, or sort of a circular reasoning, but it's not. It's a definition. It's just a definition. You see, it's a definition. We have a word, existence, and we're defining it to be this minimal qualitative state of being or not. And it does have a meaning, even though, in a sense, I would argue that everything exists. Because when we conceive of a unicorn, then a unicorn exists, but it's an idea. So the idea of existence does have a meaning, though, because it raises the question of you exist, as what? So if this is a dream while somebody else is asleep, I think there is evidence contrary to that. If by dream you mean the kinds of dreams that most everybody knows. Okay. Well, I was going to talk about things, and I guess I'll save that. But anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope it wasn't too much of a ramble, because I'm kind of running. So I did think about what I was going to say for a long time, but I don't plan out the actual presentation. I just know the points. So to summarize, the point here is that existence is defined as I exist. Everything else exists in terms of its relationships to me. So primary existence is anything I physically interact with. Secondary existence is anything that interacts with something I interact with, and so on and so forth. So when you read a newspaper story and they tell you something happened in London, that's secondary reality, because you only have the physical contact with the newspaper that is physical contact with the guy. So that would actually be tertiary, I guess. And anyway, that's my next video.